Hey, it's Jules. So today I'm going to do my last education post, and it's going to be about my service project that I did at the beginning of the semester. So today I'm going to talk about where I served, how many hours I served, what population I served, and why the experience was meaningful to me. So to start, where I served at the Arizona Point in Time homeless street count survey. So I volunteered as an administrator of the survey. And I'm going to read you guys what the point in time survey, homeless street count, whole thing actually was. So on the website it says the point in time homeless street count and shelter count is an effort to learn more about individuals and families experiencing homelessness in Maricopa County and the entire country. In order to accomplish local federal goals toward ending homelessness, we first need to know who's experiencing homelessness, where they are, and better understand the factors surrounding their homelessness. So, from the 2015 homeless count, there were 5,631 people had experienced homelessness in Maricopa County, which is a lot of people. 1,289 of them reported to be sleeping on the streets, and 4,342 people are in shelters. Of that total, 380 were children. So I volunteered 6 hours at this with this survey. It took 6 hours for me to administer the survey, and I went with two ASU staff members. They were really helpful and professional with the survey, and I just kind of want to tell you about my experience. So we started off at 6 in the morning. We met at Abo Sedona in North Phoenix, and the area was really nice. Like, I wouldn't have expected homeless people to be there, but we were right next to a Goodwill, so we decided to drive behind the Goodwill to see if anyone would be living there, and we ended up finding someone living behind the Goodwill. It was a man, and we tried to approach him, but he didn't want to talk to us, and then he cornered himself into this corner and started peeing instead of talking to us. It was really uncomfortable and weird, so we ended up leaving, but we were still able to take his demographics down, which is good for the survey, so that was a positive of that experience. And then we decided to drive around because we were given a grid of where we could go to count people, and we found a power plant, like where APS keeps all of their towers and stuff. And so we decided to get out of the car and walk through the power plant, kind of behind it, to see if anyone was living there. And we found three individuals living there. We first approached this man, and he was living in a pile of trash, and there were books and bags and shirts and clothes, and it was just scattered on this gravel plateau almost. It was flat. And we approached him and we asked him if he was homeless, and he said yes. And we were like, yeah, can we ask you a few questions for the survey? And instead of agreeing, he just said, no, I really have somewhere to be. I have to go do something. And so we were just kind of like, okay, it's 7 in the morning. Where do you have to go? But we didn't question him anymore. And then he asked us for some resources. He wanted to know where the nearest homeless shelter was. And it was really unfortunate because I or my team members weren't able to give him the resources that he needed because we weren't familiar with the area. And I think that is that was one of the hardest parts for me. Was here, we're interacting with homeless people, but we don't have anything for them. We're not giving them water, we're not giving them toiletries, we're not giving them a sandwich or something. We're not leaving them with something. We're just taking something from them, which is their information, and leaving them with nothing. And that was really hard for me as a administrator of this survey and as a volunteer, to know that what I was doing was helping the greater good of the situation, for funding and stuff, but I wasn't actually touching these people's lives. And so I decided that it would be best for me to kind of tried to facilitate a better experience for them by asking them questions, like giving them a sense that I cared. I actually genuinely cared about them. And so my job was, I wasn't supposed to ask the questions. I was just supposed to fill out a paper for each person that we interviewed about like their demographic. So like how old do I think they were? What was their gender, their race? What did they look like? Stuff like that, where it's just kind of surface. It's just like an observational interview. That's kind of what it was called. And I wish that I was able to administer the survey because the people that I was administering the survey with, they were really cold and they weren't very warm and welcoming, and they weren't really facilitating a comfortable experience for these homeless people that we were surveying. So the next people that we met were a couple, and they were living in a truck, in the bed of a truck, and we actually approached the bed of the truck, found them sleeping in there. And this was still around like 6 or 7 in the morning, probably 7:30 at this point, but it's really cold. I mean, it was like in January, so it had to have been at least like 60 degrees or below. And to me, that's really cold. Some people, it's not very cold, but I think that's cold to be sleeping outside. And so they were sleeping in the bed of the truck, and we woke them up and we asked them if we could ask some questions, and they agreed. And they looked like they were users of some type of drug. They kind of showed some symptoms of like being on drugs of some sort. And one of the men, he was working cleaning pools on the side, and he just didn't have enough money. And the woman that he was with, they weren't married, but she told us that she actually was on the other side of the survey and administered the survey 3 years prior. So that really touched my heart because I felt like, wow, if this person could be in this situation right now, it could happen to anyone. And that's why the homelessness is such a problem, is because it really can happen to anyone. It's not just it's not just being unlucky. It's like real. And listening to her and just seeing the pain in her eyes as she was answering the questions, and I wish that there was something more that I could do for her and him. And it was really disheartening to me to know that, I wasn't really prepared to give them anything or do anything for them. And that was just really hard for me as a person to not be able to give. I've just pretty much, the survey, we asked questions, got the answers, and then said thanks and left. So it was really, I don't think I would participate again. I think it was a little too dry for me and not enough personal connection. So next, I'm going to talk about why it was meaningful to me. This experience was really meaningful to me because I was able to learn about homeless people. I mean, I didn't know a lot. One of the questions is like, how did you get here? And a lot of people said, like, this has been my life for the past 3-4 years. I live on the streets. This is what I do. And I'm not able to find a job. I'm not able to find a shelter. There's no resources for them. They don't believe that there's resources for them. There might be resources for them, but they don't know about it. So it was really interesting and meaningful because I was able to see the fact that there was a disconnect. And now if in the future I decide that like homeless people are the population that I really want to work with, I'm now have that education to know like there's a deep disconnect between the resources and the people that need the resources. And in order to connect those things, I think that would really help. But since it's not really happened yet, I think that it could be really beneficial for me in my future to try to connect those two entities, the resources and the people that need the resources. So yeah, that's why it was really meaningful. I mean, I learned a lot. I had a good experience. I just don't think that I would participate again. And then finally, I want to talk about a TED Talk that we went over in class, and it really pertains to kind of my situation with the survey. The TED Talk is the Ernesto Stoley one, and the title is "Want to Help Someone? Shut Up and Listen." I think this is really like it totally pertains to my experience with the survey, administering the survey, because we were just asking questions and listening. And I wanted to help them, and I was hearing what they were saying, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I know, like, you've had a really rough life, and I want to help you. But you can't just go up to someone and say, like, here's food, you're homeless. Like, they might not be hungry. They might not want a sandwich. They might need, like, job training or something that will help them get a job. And so you don't know someone's situation unless you listen to them and actually figure it out. And I think that was like what exactly happened during the survey and my volunteer experience, that I was able to sit back and observe and listen before before any action. And there really wasn't very much action that we could do to help them, but I really like helping people and I always want to help people. And so I think that this TED Talk that we watched was really beneficial to me because it kind of sparked that like light bulb in my head saying like you need to listen and instead of react, like listen and then take the information and respond appropriately. So that TED Talk was really good. It pertained to everything that I learned in my volunteer experience. And I hope that you understand my experience and that this video was beneficial and expressed my learning. I had a pretty good experience with the people that I was with. They were really nice, and I would definitely recommend this experience to people, but I do believe that something within the survey or the program itself needs to be tweaked so that we're not leaving these people that are homeless that don't have anything empty-handed. Like, we need to give them something because they're giving us their information. So I think that once that puzzle piece is filled in, the experience will be better for volunteers and the people that we're serving. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.